Hello and welcome. We're in Warwickshire at Compton, Verney. For centuries, an aristocratic family home, now transformed into a world-class art gallery.
And today, this beautiful corner of the English countryside will play host and muse to another 8 eager competitors ready to display their creative skills. But who will make a fine artistic impression and who will make a right exhibition of themselves? It's a brand new episode of Landscape Artist of the Year.
From 2,000 applicants, just 40 artists were selected to put their creative skills to the test.
I'm quite excited about this. I'm glad that that's the view today.
Capturing a range of challenging and inspiring views, from visionary engineering feats to nature at its finest.
Obviously, there's a lot of green here, so there's still plenty to do.
With just 4 hours to create their landscape masterpieces.
It's constantly backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards.
And the stakes are high as they compete for a £10,000 commission for the Manchester Art Gallery to create an artwork celebrating the heritage of the northwest of England.
Eagerly scrutinising their every move are our 3 astute and critical judges.
I normally at this point say, it's looking great, you've made a great start. It actually looks a bit of a mess.
It's a bit of a mess.
But they're not alone, as at every heat, 50 more artists are determined to impress as wildcards.
Cutting-edge technology.
But can they keep their heads as the battle continues to become the next Landscape Artist of the Year? Everything's falling down the hill.
Yeah.
Well, I've felt like that sometimes, I must say.
Competing at Compton Verney today are 5 professionals. Julia Borodina, Oliver Hurst, Rebecca Noel Purvis, James Kerwin and Kate Agate.
A picture like this would normally take me up to a month to complete, so I'm really going to have to pull all the stops out today.
Alongside them are 3 amateur artists, Raymond Gill, Adalia Minette and Kwango Lung.
I'm quite quick, so that's a bit too long for me, 4 hours. I can paint 1 painting. If not, I can do 2.
While the artists gather their nerves and their kit, the judges cast their discerning eyes upon the submissions. Well, judges, a wall that takes us to so many different geographical locations. So let's start with the one over there, which is pastel, and it's Hong Kong.
It's an image we know from the newspapers. It's the protesters with their umbrellas. When I think of pastels, I think of vibrant, colourful scenes. And actually, the artist has treated the pastels quite differently here. It's quite downbeat, and it's got this kind of fizzing energy.
We were impressed by the composition and that sense of claustrophobia.
The second one, we're looking at Manhattan from New Jersey.
No, I thought this was some sort of turn-of-the-century Viennese bit of drawing. I think it's a very beautiful drawing. I love the use of the brown of the paper.
I think this vertical slice is always so effective, and even more so here with such a subdued colour palette.
The third painting, I happen to know it's in Aberystwyth.
It's a very poignant moment as the sun's just about to come up and the streetlights haven't been switched off yet. And I just like that juxtaposition between the natural light and the man-made light.
I think of it as being at the end of the day, really, more than anything else. You know, again, we've got an artist finding something that's totally inconsequential, but making it heroic.
This number 4 here is fantastical.
Yeah, it's like a musical taking place at an industrial plant. We've never had anything quite like this.
No, they're supposed to be Elvis lookalikes.
Wow, OK, so it got even stranger very quickly.
But don't you think it's made all the more weird because of this totally believable character on the right-hand side in the yellow jacket?
And so we move to Ireland.
It's a very romantic landscape, but one does feel one's slightly lost as well, because of the way the past draws us in.
I love this framing device. It sort of draws attention to the illusion of painting.
The next one It's in the imagination of the artist.
It reminds me of a painting from the late 19th century or something. You believe that you're back in that time until you see these strange figures.
I love the ghostly echoes of those trees in the background. That colour palette works really nicely for me.
Now we move to Cornwall.
It's a rather beautiful slice, and then when you go close up, you realise there's no paint whatsoever. It's got incredible clarity to it.
The beach is made of different kinds of leaves. The wall has got bark in it, and the sky has got some coloured tissues.
I mean, it looks like a hyper-realist painting. It's wholly believable.
The final one is a landscape of a woodland.
And I like the way that the marks have a really natural consistency across the surface. It gives it a lovely rhythmic quality.
What I find incredible is that, I can smell the pininess of the place. Very interesting that you can evoke so much with such loose mark making.
Well, judges, we've given you a tour around the world, and all those artists today are going to see what they make of a country estate in England.
Artists, I hope you have your brushes, paints and pencils poised, because your challenge is about to begin.
As usual, you have 4 hours to complete your individual masterpieces, and your time starts now.
Today's vista of a picturesque country estate centres around the 18th century mansion of Compton, Verney. For centuries an aristocratic family home, it is now an award-winning art gallery. Set in glorious parkland, this centre of creative excellence not only holds historic significance, but also a rather more personal artistic legacy.
I spent 4 of my happiest years working at Compton Verney when I was director here. I love this place. So it's tough for these artists today because they're going to have to give me something really special. This place means so much to me. It's the most wonderful view. It's got a fantastic house. They've got a gorgeous bit of nature, lovely trees. They've got the bridges that echo each other. The challenge for them is to find the right view.
Artists often have a visceral response to the view in front of them.
Julia, do you have an emotional reaction to this place?
I'm quite happy because the light is there. What I love painting is the experience of being wherever you are. I love the smell of the grasses. I love the fresh air. I love to have a feel of how you are in that environment.
Julia Borodina is a full-time art teacher and professional artist. Her acrylic on board submission is of local woodland near her home in West Yorkshire and reminds her of childhood family walks in her homeland of Siberia.
So what happens next on this painting?
What happened next? I have used the artistic license already in composition, so I'm trying to move things closer to me. I'm drawn to the thistles because it could give me a real good feature on the foreground.
Are you quite competitive?
Oh, yes, I did gymnastics.
Did you?
Yeah,
What sort of level did you take that to?
Oh, very serious level.
Really? Wow.
Well, the Russians in sport is very
The
serious.
Russians in gymnastics, I mean, you have to be incredibly disciplined, don't
Yes.
you? Well, I hope you're going to give us one of those at the end.
Would you like
Am
me
I
to?
doing it right?
I don't know.
You don't know what I'm doing, do you?
Sorry.
Now, James, I've never seen this before. You've started by spraying colour as a frame,
Yes.
but they're not the colours that we see out there.
No. I just think these colours will add a bit of vibrancy to it.
They'll give it energy, won't they?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
James Kerwin is a professional artist and muralist from Dublin. His submission, painted on his honeymoon, shows a view of Black Valley in County Kerry, depicted in acrylics and spray paint. What kind of murals do you do?
I do all sorts, really. A lot of them are kind of quite abstract, but there's a hint of a landscape in there somewhere.
I'm rather sorry we can't do that here, but I think it's a stately home. I don't think they appreciate it. Yeah. Now, you've started to draw.
Yeah, I'm taking just from the end of the bridge here to the end of the water. The bridge and the distance is included as well.
So you're taking a very precise slice.
Yeah, I think composition-wise, it just makes sense to me. The house here has got too much sky going on.
Well, I'll look very lyrical in your submission, so perhaps this will be too.
But it's not just our 8 heat artists working here today. Arriving en masse for a day of creativity and settling along the lake's edge are 50 more landscape artists eager and enthusiastic to give it their best shot as wildcards.
My view is fantastic. Got zingy, bright, neon-coloured deck chairs with reflections in the water, so I couldn't ask for more.
There will be no painting of the house today. It's really big, and I'm not good at buildings.
Their mission is to stand out from the crowd as they compete for the chance to win a wildcard place at the semi-final.
This is nice, isn't it, Malcolm?
It's wonderful, yeah. We've got the warmth of summer and it's perfect.
Warmth of summer and the cool of the English aristocracy.
Yes, that's it, yeah.
Back at the pods, one artist is already steaming ahead.
Adana, you're very decisive. Are you always this fast?
Yeah, I paint from life a lot, so I'll drive around in my car and take my paints and just paint while I'm there.
Does the image change all the time?
It does. I try to get a quick initial idea of what I want to do, and then I guess it does adapt from there. I'm not sure how, but we'll find out.
Adalia Minette is an MA Fine Arts student whose submission shows the view from her student residence in Aberystwyth, captured in acrylics and painted in low light.
There's a particular mood about your submission, which I thought was very early morning before the lights have gone, and another one of the judges thought it was the evening.
It's evening,
It's evening.
yeah. Yeah.
But is that just in-between bit? Is this what's going to happen here?
I think so. I think I like the changing sky. The clouds give it some character, and I'll try to convey that. I start with the darkest colours. Maybe that's what gives it that kind of atmosphere.
I can't believe how much you've done already, so crack on.
I usually paint adjusted landscapes, so I'll happily add in a historical narrative of some sort, whether it's something in the recent past or something a long, long time ago, what sort of things were around, you know, I like doing it.
Oliver Hurst is a professional artist and illustrator based in Bath. His oil-on-canvas fictional landscape, inspired by the architecture of ancient Rome, is a response to current global events, but demonstrates his passion for history.
Oliver, are you going for that historic feel?
I kind of am, yes. I'm thinking it's going to be almost H.G. Wells-esque, 19th century.
Tell me more about H.G. Wells at Compton, Verney.
It's almost like a future he might imagine, but coming from this time originally. So
Yeah.
Everyone's gone and we've just left these kind of odd bits around. Obviously the house, I'm going to lob one of those sphinxes over here just separately on its own.
Okay, yeah.
I'm also thinking of it as something he might have time travelled to 300 years, 400
You're
years in the
blowing my
future.
mind with all of these time connections.
I know.
I'm not going to be able to keep up.
I'm
I'll
just
be
trying
like,
to remember.
where am I?
Firmly planted in the present, but well aware of the passage of time, the artists are 1 hour into their challenge.
I work in layers, so I think I've got quite a few layers to go yet, but I'll work as quickly as possible.
I thought I would be making quicker progress. There's still loads of thinking going on, working out where I want to have the light. It's part of the composition. It's all playing on senses. Yes, we have to smell it, we have to feel it.
Producing a landscape in 4 hours is going to be quite tight. There's a lot of green here, but I try and look for little hints of different colours that may not be so obvious.
The only thing that could go wrong is if I spend too much time focused on one bit and don't get it resolved at the expense of everything else as well. That's my main worry.
Here in the Warwickshire countryside, 8 landscape artists are working on their visual interpretations of the Compton Verney estate. And just how they interpret the scene can be dictated by the medium they use.
For the brown paper technique that I do, I use a lot of different drawing material and a little bit of painting material. Today, I might be working a little bit more with the pastels, so I'll be mixing on the paper itself. So that's a little bit trickier.
Professional artist Rebecca Noel Purvis has a BA in illustration from Philadelphia University of Arts. She produced her mixed media on brown paper submission of Manhattan when she was visiting family in New Jersey, and it took her 15 hours to complete.
Rebecca, talk to me about brown paper.
I like it as a medium tone, and I also like the way the charcoal reacts to the paper.
But it looks to me like you've just ripped it off a paper bag.
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you go and just buy a roll of brown
It
paper?
doesn't react the same way. I haven't been able to find a professionally made piece of paper that reacts the same way with the charcoal and the paint.
You're now a connoisseur of brown paper bags.
Yes.
I normally at this point say, it's looking great, you've made a great start. It actually looks a bit of a mess.
It's a bit of a mess. In my eye, it makes sense, and I know where it's going.
Well, Quango, I never thought that when I saw this rather serene landscape, I would see it all turned up like this. How do you decide what to choose?
Just go by the gut. It's the instinct. I just want to do it. Oh, here I want to do this, or here I want to do this.
Is it an adventure to paint?
Yeah. So when you paint, you really feel calm. It's because all the energy go for that, and I feel release.
Amateur artist Quango Long is a hairdresser who only recently turned to landscape art. His energetic, quickly captured pastel submission is based on a press photo of the 2014 Hong Kong umbrella protest. Your submission was a very flamboyant piece, but I could recognize quite a lot of it where we were in Hong Kong. I'm finding it hard to find my way around this.
Okay, usually this land is like horizontal, but I can see this hill here, so I want everyone go in the angle, you know, just be wonky.
So this is now the hill.
Yeah, and this is the bridge and some crew there.
And some cameras and the house, of course.
Yeah.
So everything's falling down the hill.
Yeah.
Well, I've felt like that sometimes, I must say.
Hopefully you don't fall over, no?
What a fine house.
And grounds.
It's not a huge house. I mean, I wouldn't
You
want...
would feel comfortable living in it?
Oh, I could live in that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to hoover it, but... I mean, the Georgians knew about proportions, didn't they?
Yes. I mean, it is a beautiful landscape. The light is gorgeous today. Would I want to paint it? In a funny way, it's being created already.
The perfection is already there, in a way.
Yes.
So we don't need to replicate it.
No, that's a very elegant Georgian way of putting it.
Thank you so much. Technically difficult to paint?
Yes. The house and the tree live off exactness in the structure. So you've got to be quite precise.
Right.
And I think, in a funny way, that's a sort of reverse technical challenge, is to try to get it across not too precisely, because it does take it down that path, which I would hope the artists avoid, of pure beauty.
This, of course, is Kathleen's former stomping ground. She was director here. So it'd be interesting to see her reaction to the artwork.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting if she can recognize stuff that the artists are finding. Yeah, poor artist.
While the view may be the height of classical tradition, the media and methods the artists are using are anything but.
What I like to do is just to use materials, or what I call my ingredients, rather than paint. But today I've got a bit of both, so there's plenty of boxes. Dried leaves, pressed leaves, even some feathers, and some lichen, heather. I've also bought my own table today, because I stand up throughout all my work.
Kate Agate is a professional artist with a degree in fashion and textiles from Bristol Polytechnic. Her submission was an intricately detailed collage of Mousel in Cornwall, created using a range of natural materials including cork, silk and bark.
Kate, you're barefoot. You brought your
I know, it's
studio
comfy.
table. Is this what your studio would be like at home?
Absolutely. It's probably better than my studio, actually.
Now, in your submission, there was less detail, as it were, in the foreground that drew you into the nitty-gritty,
Yeah.
but there was structure in it. So
Yeah.
here, are you seeing structures?
I am. I'm seeing the line of the grass, and people walking down have made also the furrow-like marks anyway. And the closer the lines get together, obviously that's in the distance, and then foreground is much darker. And I kind of choose fabrics to do that.
It's kind of intriguing watching you work. And also, thanks for inviting me to your studio. It's a fabulous
Come on
space.
in.
The exactness of structure and Georgian perfection of the house are proving problematic for one artist.
This is not the sort of thing I would come to naturally thinking, yeah, I've got to do a painting of that. This frontage of the building is totally symmetrical, and two trees either side. They're another layer of symmetry, which I think's all a bit obvious, so I want to break away from that.
Former architect Raymond Gill became an amateur artist when he retired 13 years ago. Whilst creating his oil painting of a tarmac plant, he decided to transform it into a fantasy playground, including a conveyor belt cum slide and a helter-skelter populated by Elvis impersonators.
So, Raymond, you like to add a bit of narrative.
Personally, I don't like figures in landscapes very much.
Right.
But I think it helps with this because I've got a lot of grass.
One's reading, is it, or sitting down?
One's sitting down, looking away from this character. And I thought, well, this is something to do with the art gallery, an artist and a gallerist.
Ah.
Rejection.
Oh, right.
And placation. You know, it's a bit like landscape artist, I suppose. I mean, you know.
Which character are you in this?
Oh, this one, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Over by the lake, the wildcard artists are busy capturing Compton Verney with an eclectic arsenal of techniques and tools.
I know it's related to pyromania, but it's called...
Pyrography.
Pyrography, okay.
Yeah.
And once you burnt the mark in, that's it?
That's it.
There's no going back?
No.
That's a bit scary for me.
I do use angle grinders.
Right. Why?
Because as a creative medium, they're creating something which is different and new.
Cutting-edge technology.
It's the smallest painting we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I use paint peels for my art, so it's kind of difficult to cover large surfaces with it. I've got even smaller easels. These ones are tiny. Oh.
What a glorious summer day it's turned out to be.
I think they're all being quite inventive with their views. Have you
Yes.
noticed that some are doing the building, some are doing the coach house, some are doing the lake? We've given them great choice.
Yeah. Have you noticed also that there seems to be a proliferation of people using pastel in a contemporary way rather than in a sort of pretty way?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I've got my favourites already.
Yeah, me too. Let's see whether they're the same.
On the other side of the estate, the 8 pod artists are 2 hours into their challenge to capture the elegant view, a task which is proving trickier for some than others.
I'm just adding in some of the tree trunks and things like that. We're just starting to tie everything together. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
I have chosen the main tree to be my focal point. That will come forward with the building nestled behind it. I'm okay, a little bit more nervous as the day progresses.
It's very fiddly. Do you feel it puts you at a disadvantage?
Sometimes. It's like I've got to get every single little window sort of ledge and every chimney. I hope I can get enough in today.
Just been working in the house itself and just trying to simplify it without seeing every single window and every single column. It's constantly backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards, backwards, forwards.
Here in Warwickshire, 8 artists have been capturing the world-class art gallery Compton Verney. And at the halfway point, there's an added challenge.
The sun is out now, and the water is giving me the most trouble. The reflections and the light on it.
God, it's hot, isn't it? The mood has changed this morning. It was quite dark, it looked quite overcast, so I feel like I've got that in the painting somehow.
At the moment, I'm struggling with the light. I can't open my eyes. I'm squinting.
3 judicious observers have had their eyes wide open during the morning and have some opinions about the work so far.
I don't know if it's me projecting, but there seems to be a sort of calm enthusiasm in the air today.
Yeah, I think a lot of the artists got off to a really good start with some good things quite early on.
Kathleen, you obviously worked here for 4 years.
Yes.
Do you feel a proprietorial sense towards the place?
I do feel a great love for it. I don't feel proprietorial about it because it's been here for centuries before me. I just want them to do a good job. And I think the calmness is actually what makes Compton Verney special.
Having said that there's a calmness in the air, Rebecca's a little bit concerned.
I think Rebecca's work works from the detail in the foreground and the sense of distance. And that detail in the foreground needs a lot more work.
Her colour palette could be interesting. The brown paper's got a beautiful quality to it, but she's just going to have to speed up.
Oliver's style seems to really suit this place.
It feels very otherworldly, and the view he's got, you can see that there's an incredible cedar that's rising above the roof. He's not interested in that, and he's transported the Sphinx off the end of the bridge onto a plinth on its own. I love the fact that he's making the place his own.
Although he is painting like an old master, it's playful in that, but it has got a melancholy about it, and that has something to do with the tones and the colours.
Julia, how's she doing?
I like the way that she puts paint down. It looks like it's quite brief, but it's not. She's a considered artist.
She's toying around with where things are in order to get that sense of movement and pathway through. So she's brought a large thistle in the bottom right-hand side that's going to bring it to the foreground, and she's played around with the positioning, I think, of one of the bridges.
Raymond is a former architect. He's got 2 buildings in the background and 2 figures at the front.
I think Raymond's figures are wonderful because they are opening up a story. I love the red underpainting, and now the building is looking a bit ugly, but I got a sense with Raymond he knows what he's doing.
I'm really glad that he didn't put Elvis-type figures in the landscape and that he's gone for something that's real, because that's much more convincing. I just want to see it more finished.
Was the no Elvis impersonator rule one that you introduced?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Quango, obviously he's given it on the skew, and everybody who looks at it does this. So does that defeat the point of the exercise?
I think it's great that Quango's changed the horizon line because it kind of underscores the dramatic aspect of his work, like he's trying to capture it before the whole place falls down. And I think it's good that he's kept the colour palette quite restricted.
I just love the vitality that he's given this very static building, because what's created inside is full of that energy.
Well, it's going to be hard, hot work for our artists, but hopefully Kathleen will approve of their Compton Verney come the end of the day.
I'll see you.
With rays beaming upon them, the artists are making some strategic decisions.
I'm struggling with getting it to be a cohesive piece at the moment. Hopefully I can get the tree to stand out from the paper. That's what I have to do now.
Quango's second drawing. What are you looking for the second time round?
I just want something slightly different. I want to change the green color. Just want to bring red up. I don't know why.
Just feels like it.
I did a little bit of research about this place. There was a whole list of owners going back hundreds of years. I like the idea of it being everyone's gone, but we're not sure why. And all they've left behind are these odd artifacts.
For 5 centuries, this delightful estate was the baronial home of the rich and powerful de Verney family. In the 1700s, famed architect John Adam was commissioned to remodel the house in line with the Georgian aristocratic taste and fashions. By the early 20th century, with the family's fortunes dwindling, the estate was sold and passed through various hands. Finally, it was requisitioned in 1939 by the Army, who used the land to develop experimental smokescreen camouflage. After the war, the house fell into disrepair, until Sir Peter Moores, philanthropist, art lover, and heir to the Littlewoods pool fortune, stepped in to save it for the nation.
Sir Peter Moores chose this particular house because he was looking for an art gallery, and its locality is really important because we're surrounded by urban centres. He wanted as many people as possible to enjoy art from as many backgrounds as possible.
Another of the gallery's founding principles was to exhibit underrepresented artwork.
He collected folk art, there's a Neapolitan collection, also our Northern European collection and our Chinese collection. The fact that Sir Peter Moores wanted to give this to the nation is extraordinary in modern times. Without his support and his help, this would probably have been another country hotel at best. And actually, I don't think about it because art is everything at Compton Verney.
Today, Compton Verney's gardens are home to our wildcard artists, much to the delight of the gallery's former director.
Ewan, I'm loving this intense view of across the lake that you've managed to get for us. When nobody's looking, I'm going to steal that little sketch that you made on the top left-hand corner.
Some of my paintings, the study has definitely been better.
Wow. I don't think that's the case today.
Thank you.
I'm loving both of them.
You've got an unusual tent.
I have. This is a toilet tent.
It's a toilet tent.
Or a shower tent, or a...
Have you brought a shower?
No.
Or a toilet?
Well, I'm sat on a bucket, but
Oh,
I don't intend to use it.
Your colours are very strange, but very beautiful. You've got oranges and purples and light greens, and I see a very dark range of grey, green.
I don't really try and be literal.
I've gathered that.
Another beautiful bunch of wild cards. I mean, they're angelic, aren't they? Our little angel painters.
On a beautiful angelic day,
Yeah.
really.
It's like a bit of heaven.
Yeah, gorgeous.
I really like the guy who's found a dark corner. He's ignored the bridge altogether.
It was that avoidance of anything that was nice or pretty. I think.
Exactly, and he was very clever because he subdued the colour of the deck chairs. There's a woman who also did the deck chairs. Hers are more subdued as well. She's got beautiful depth in the water.
Yeah, there was another pastel artist. She's been kneeling all day. I'd be interested whether she can walk out of here later on. But very strange sense of colour.
Do you know what? I think I could really go with a pastel artist
Yes.
today.
Hello, you are our wild card winner today.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. We really love what you've done. There's just such a sensitivity. You feel the depth of that water. There's just a really lovely evocation of this scene. Well done.
Thank you so much. I can't believe I'm the wildcard winner. A bit gobsmacked. It feels quite surreal, but yeah, absolutely ecstatic.
Ewan Walton from Henley-on-Thames goes into a pool with the rest of the wildcard heat winners for a chance to win a place at the semi-final.
Back in the pods, the 8 competing artists have only 1 hour left.
I'm looking at the big chunk of grass between some of my thistles, working out where I want to have the light playfully distributing across.
I'm going to put in some highlights and darken up some areas, mainly to make a difference between the shapes and the trees.
I'm just putting in little shadows here and there. Sometimes the early brushstrokes, you just get very sort of woolly looking marks. Just sort of sharpening some of them up just to get some nice solid forms.
In the midst of Warwickshire countryside, 8 competitive artists are on the home stretch of their landscape challenge.
I'm literally just trying to pop in the final touches. A little bit more time would be perfect, but obviously we don't have that.
James, I sense a man fighting against the clock.
Yeah, The bridge has kind of given me trouble, so maybe there is a few more touches left on that to do.
OK, crack on.
I have to decide which one I'm going to submit. It's a hard choice, no? This one, I think, is too busy.
I could overwork it at this point, so I'll need to keep an eye on it.
I'm going to tread carefully, I think. The grass is going to be tricky. How much time have we got left?
Artist, you have 5 minutes left. 5 minutes.
Oh my goodness. I can do this.
I'm just actually making sure everything is stuck in place so nothing's going to fly off a bit later on.
I need to just keep getting on with things. I haven't got a moment to lose, really.
I will be painting up to the bitter end, I think. Just to milk every last minute of it.
Artist, your time is up.
Please put down your equipment and step away from your easels.
With their challenge over, the artists get the chance to relax, while judgment is passed on their work.
I wanted our artists today to find the soul of Compton Verney, and I do think they've all risen to the challenge in their own distinct ways.
I love a day like this when we have got all this challenge, and at the end of the day you say, oh, what angst. What a lovely exhibition.
Yeah, talking about angst, I mean, Rebecca had it in spades, and also it was messy, but somehow that paper bag, it's just brought it all together.
There's a density to a trees and a personality in the trees, really rather magical. What century is Oliver's painting from?
He wants us to be in the future at Compton Verney. He can't just look at a landscape. It's got to be full of a rich, almost dystopian story.
Out of everybody today, he really did address Compton Verney, the building. He's managed to convey a real sense of the scale and the classical quality of it.
Adalia's keeping the viewer out in a strange way. We've got two bridges crossing, and the woods seem impenetrable, suggesting dark things happening.
By setting the scene either very early in the morning or very late at night, she's able to do something quite enigmatic and moody.
I think Raymond needed more time to get that sense of polish that he managed in his submission today, but you can see shades of that polish in the cedar coming up through the roof of Compton Verney.
The composition is great, the way he slices off the building. The foreground falls away slightly for me. I don't find these figures that believable. Kwango's work is so energetic, isn't it? It reminds me of 1990s MTV, where everything's happening at once and it's electrifying. Great to watch him work. It all just comes straight out from his gut.
It is a performative reaction to what he's seeing. I admire the freedom, I admire the variety of the mark-making.
I like Julia's sense of colour, and she was so cleverly played around with what was in front of her. She got the foreground, she put some thistles in there to really push us back. I like it.
It's got immense distance in it. It's quite extraordinary how far she's been able to draw the landscape back.
James is really about the long view, and today the long view was the second bridge. I think he was clever with the composition, the way he gave us only a section of the first bridge.
The range of green that he's been able to employ is absolutely fantastic.
I think Kate's a very beguiling artist. The use of the materials is very interesting. It makes you look in a different way.
I think it's effective. I think my favourite bit is the mossiness of the cedars of Lebanon.
Now they must choose a short list of 3.
I feel like we've got 8 very expressive pieces of art in front of us.
And I feel like we've got an extra tough judge because you have such a relationship with this place.
Some of them are calling to me, put it that way.
Artists, it's been a delight to see your different interpretations of this inspirational landscape. But alas, there is only space for 3 on the judges' shortlist, and they have decided.
The first artist on the shortlist is Rebecca Noel Purvis.
The second artist is Oliver Hurst.
And the third artist the judges have selected is Julia Borodina.
To those of you who didn't make the shortlist, it doesn't mean that we don't all admire the work you've done enormously. Thank you very much for your work.
Disappointed, no, because I'm going to take so much away from today. It's going to be onwards and upwards from here, hopefully.
Taking into account the artist's submission works, the judges now make their final decision.
One of the glorious things about this show is we can set up a load of artists all pointing roughly in the same direction and come up with some completely different art. And you would almost be hard-pressed to say that today's 3 shortlisted paintings are of the same location.
Or in the same century.
Rebecca has, like her submission, foregrounded trees with just a little glimpse of a house in the background. What did you like about her work?
I love Rebecca's Cedar of Lebanon in the foreground. That is how that tree feels to me. The arms are flopping around. It's got a sort of personality.
You can see a real range in what Rebecca's able to achieve. So she's gone vertical in the submission, horizontal today, but the language is still consistent.
Oliver gave us the Acropolis Apocalypse for his submission, but today we have a very neat and tidy house and grounds.
Well, they're both quite gentle paintings, aren't they? But they allude to something going on. Obviously, the allusion in the first one is stronger. But he does succeed in his aspiration to convey a distinct mood.
There's a consistency in both paintings of tones and colours, and I think that's very interesting. And a strange narrative where we don't know the outcome is definitely present in both paintings.
Julia, of course, really plunges into the nature.
What really works for me in Julia's paintings is this real sense of light that she manages to capture, and she uses it almost like a pathway to move you through her paintings.
I mean, Julia's understanding of organic matter, that we can stand in her forest and smell the trees, and today you get a sense of springiness of grass. A very good observer of nature and how it feels is quite extraordinary.
Well, the dark clouds are starting to roll in, so we'll need a decision. On one of our artists, the clouds must part and the sun must shine.
We'll be quick. We'll do it before the rain starts.
Rebecca, Oliver, Julia, each of you has shone today. But this being a competition, there can only be one winner.
And the judges have reached their decision. The artist who will be going through to the semi-final is... Rebecca Noel Purvis.
I feel shocked, very grateful, and just kind of excited.
You know why Rebecca won? Because we all want to see what she does next. She's a really intriguing artist. She's mixed media, but it's really about drawing, not just the appearance, but something more. The result is beautiful, surprising, and it takes us to a different place.
You didn't know how it would end.
I didn't think that was going to happen at all. I made the decision a couple years ago to open up my own studio, and this makes me believe that I did the right thing.